Hello and welcome to the Live Thrivingly podcast. Today's guest is a beautiful human being born on the North Shore of Kauai. She was raised by parents who met in a spiritual school called the Erica Institute. They raised her deep in the mountains on a marijuana farm with meditation, yoga, ohms, and drum circles. When she turned 14, her father gave her Dan Millman's Way of the Peaceful Warrior, and her lifelong journey towards self actualization began. She didn't attend traditional public school. Instead, she was schooled in a Waldorf school full of ceremony, music, and creativity. And from there, she went on to become a certified massage therapist, a CrossFit gym owner and coach, a registered nurse, and an entheo guide for plant medicine ceremonies. Her offerings include deep bodywork therapy, one-on-one psychedelic therapy from the comfort of her property in South Santa Cruz County, as well as offerings at her CrossFit gym in Midtown Santa Cruz. I had the honor of meeting this vivacious human being while studying cacao down in Guatemala, where her lighthearted attitude and embodied presence brought inspiration and comfort to my being. So without further ado, I introduce you to the extraordinary Lily Weber. Thank you so much for making space to be here today.
I'm honored to be in your presence, Jackson. You are a very impressive human being yourself. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for that. So yeah, to kick things off, I kind of just want to reflect on that intro. Growing up in Kauai and then, coming to California, that just seems like such an amazing childhood to be immersed in nature like that.
I feel really blessed to have been able to start my life out that way. I was born at home in jungle, deep on the North Shore in Hyanna, Kauai. And my parents were so happy and in love, and coming into that kind of energy as my first experience on the earth has really, I feel, set a stage for me that is special and beautiful. And those first moments and years of our lives are so formative in setting the stage for our psychology for the rest of our lives. So I thank my parents greatly for their decisions.
Yeah, that is just so cool.
I asked my dad, so how did you and mom meet? Like, what brought you together? He said, well, she fed me some magic mushrooms and she was wearing a sarong with no underwear and went from there.
Oh, that's great. It's just not your common story.
No.
I'd love to hear it. Yeah, so how was this book, The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, when this came into your life?
So I learned so much from my parents, my dad, especially as a small child, about self-reflection, the human ego, taking the higher road, being integral. And so when I was 14, he gave me that book. And that was the beginning of me really diving into spirituality and self-actualization. And I read that book and I ate it up, and I read more and more and more and more. Along the way, I got to make lots of mistakes, though, and do all the things that normal teenagers do, such as, get married to people who don't treat them well and get fired from jobs and all those things. But being able to reflect on all of my experiences and take those lessons into my later life has been a profound journey for me. And he introduced me also to plant medicine. So he was doing ayahuasca in the 90s when I was a teenager. And so I was aware of that. And he told me about it a little bit, not too in depth, but I knew that that was a process that he was going through. So very, very powerful stuff. Yes, I love the Dan Millman, the Wayne Dyer, the Eckhart Tolle, all of it. Bring it on.
I love that. So yeah, so that kind of led you down the path you are on today, but I would love to explore some more of the themes and kind of challenges that you've kind of faced on your path throughout your life that have brought you to the point you are now?
I would say probably the biggest challenge that I faced was I got married very young. I got married when I was 18, and by the time I was 26, I had 3 children. My ex-husband, I didn't know. I was so young, I didn't know about mental health disorders at that point. But my ex-husband suffers from bipolar disorder and narcissistic personality disorder. And I didn't know if I was crazy or if he was crazy. So that was a big journey. There was a lot of programming that I received through those years, those very formative years. I was with him from the age of 17 until 26. And so I've had to do a lot of work in undoing those traumas and those ideas that he put into my head at that time. So being being on the journey of a single mom, being so young as well, that was a difficult time. Being money was a big struggle for a lot of years for me, and that has been something I've had to overcome too. Now that I'm not in that position anymore, what a relief that is. But having that mindset, that scarcity mindset, is a hard one to live with, especially when you're raising 3 small children. So that was a huge part of my life as far as what drove me into my own work with myself in plant medicine. And I continue with that. I'm breaking free from all of the chrysalis so that I can completely fly free. But every day more free.
I love that. And so when you were in this time where, things were scarce and you were raising 3 kids, was there some things that really allowed you to just keep showing up and keep just doing the work so that you knew that you could provide for your kids and that, everything would eventually, work out?
So I remember shortly after my divorce, The Secret came out, that movie. And I remember watching it and thinking, I got this. I can do anything. And I started my vision boards then,
Yeah.
and I was dead set on creating the life that I wanted. So I looked at my vision boards every day, and I knew what I wanted for my kids. I knew what I wanted for my life, and I have created everything on that vision board since then. So
Wow.
knowing knowing that we have that ability within us to create the life that we want, that that has been a guiding light for me. And I completely hold true to the manifestation laws completely. Anybody who says it isn't real, it's because they just aren't doing it right. You
I
have
Yeah, and I
to
think
actually really
yeah.
believe that you can do it.
Yes. I think
Yeah.
the whole thing with like the buzzwording of the manifestation and all that is I think that in reality, I think it's really simple, and I think sometimes we're making it a little bit too complex. I think some people out there like are making like the process of it so complex when it's like, yeah, if you can really truly believe and you can, put it on paper or write it down and really become it and visualize it and see it coming into fruition, like it has so much more power than, theoretically trying to follow an A through Z schedule, uh, if that resonates.
Yeah, you have to feel it. If you can't feel it, if you can't actually imagine it happening in your life, you're not there yet. You're not going to be able to manifest it. But and also sometimes I think people, they think, "Oh, I'm going to manifest something into my life and I'm just going to sit back and not do anything." But you have to watch for all of the different opportunities that are sent your way. You want to manifest a business, investors are going to start coming into your life, opportunities here and there. You just have to recognize, oh, that's being sent to me to help manifest my dream. Not, oh, I don't need your help, I'm waiting for it to just show up.
Yes.
There's a great story that I always love to tell, and it's There's a monk and he's on a boat, and the boat capsizes. And he prays to God and he says, God, please save me. And he's treading water, and a rowboat comes by, and the fisherman says, hey, do you want some help? And the monk says, no, God's going to save me. Takes off. Another boat comes by, same thing. Hey, can I help you? No, God's going to save me. And then the monk drowns. And when he gets to heaven, he says, God, you didn't save me. And God says, I sent you 3 boats. So it's the same kind of thing in our lives. We just don't necessarily recognize the opportunities when they show up in front of our faces. We have to be awake enough.
Yeah, we need that awareness to see those signs in everything. And sometimes they're just so subtle, and there's just a small nudge toward a place we need to go or a person we need to meet.
Mm-hmm. And your gut feelings. We get so much in our head about everything. I think we have to listen to our gut. If you're passionate about something, just go and do it. Don't think about it so much. Just go and do it.
Yeah, just start
You'll talk
start
yourself out of
walking.
it with logistics. Yeah.
Oh, the moment the inner resistance is always going to be there. Instead,
Yeah.
let's leverage that. Like uh when I came back from Costa Rica after my yoga teacher training, like I knew that my soul really wanted to teach, but I was like scared. I was like, like so I was trying to figure out all the logistics of it. Like, okay, I'll start in 2 weeks, and then instead I was like, I just have to do it, just do a class. And then from there, like every class has just gotten better and better. And it's just like, yeah, when we're passionate about something, we can spend so much time in the mind, like contemplating it and trying to get everything perfect. But, we'll die before the right time comes, the someday, the disease of the somedaying, just go and start, put one foot in front of the next and go.
And have faith in yourself. You see a kid hanging onto the side of the pool who doesn't know how to swim, and they try to get away from the wall for a second and then go back to the wall real quick. And until they know, okay, I can make it to the other side. And they haven't taken a swim lesson between now and then, right? It's just something in their mind that they change their mind. I can do it. I can swim to the other side. And they do it. It's just, we can do it. We just have to jump in and swim. So many
I love
people are
that.
afraid. So many people are afraid to take this first step into the life that they dream of. So get out of the prison,
Yeah.
move on. Yeah.
Get off the wall, swim to the
Yeah.
other side.
Exactly.
It's time
Exactly.
to jump out of the nest and spread our
Yeah.
wings.
Do something every day that scares you. It's the key to the growth.
What are some things what are some examples for you that you've done that have maybe
Oh, goodness.
scared you, but you just jumped into?
Well, I'll just tell you right now, one of the things that I'm working on is being musical in public. Being musical, and I'm doing apprentice work with these ceremonies that are usually 13 people plus the other facilitators, and singing and playing instruments in front of others. Whoo, big hurdle for me. I'm working on it. It's good. It's great. It's really good for me. But I always felt insecure about my singing voice because as a small child, someone told me I was out of tune in chorus class.
Yeah,
And of course, ever
it
since then, I
stuck
was
you.
like, I don't know how to sing. So, but we're such fragile human beings. One person can say something like that to you as a child, and you take it with you until you're in your fucking 40s.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that's one of the hurdles right now that I'm overcoming, and it feels so good because I only have a couple left, I think, that I haven't completely overcome. But I'm all about being vulnerable. Anything I think I can't do or I'm bad at, oh, there I go. That's what I have to do next.
Uh-huh.
It keeps my path very clear. Whatever it is I think I can't do, that's what I have to do.
Yeah, I resonate with that musical side in public for sure. Because it was something like my choir teachers when I was a kid, they were like, "Oh, like you have such a good voice." And I went to like a band tryout and I was playing these instruments and they were like, "Oh, like you were very like inclined for the saxophone and the drum and this and that." And then, my dad had said like, you don't need to do that, you play football, and we don't need to be in band and choir, we'll go hunting and fishing and all that, which I loved, but there was a musical side to me that is only just beginning to re-blossom for me. Like I have the guitar sitting right here that I'm getting back into, and that really birthed itself from our time down in Guatemala where I met you, which was my first experience kind of living in like a conscious, like spiritual community that was always singing and dancing and playing instruments. And that was something you kind of shared, like you just grew up with kind of in that atmosphere, but it's nice to know that that's still something that other people struggle with because sometimes I feel alone in my especially when I'm around people that are so talented musically.
Yeah, it's the it's the ego prison though, right? We feel scared to not be good at something, to be embarrassed, to be out of tune. What is that going to do? Tear us down, make us less of a person? No. Be vulnerable, be out there. And when we're vulnerable like that too, we give other people permission to be the same.
Absolutely. And it's crazy what I've seen. It's like even when you're out of tune, maybe your voice or your instrument, like the more you just practice and play, like it starts to come into tune. And I think there's something psychological there that also brings you in tune from a psyche standpoint as well and can kind of bring you into this harmonization. And that's the power of music and singing and vibration and all that that's with the musical side. So I think that I've been listening to music in a whole new way and really like honoring artists and their talents with music and singing in a whole new way because it's such a gift to this world and it's such a powerful healing modality that is often I think overlooked. There's the power of it.
Yeah, sitting in circle, making music with people, there is an amazing healing that goes on just with that. Synchronicity, getting all into the same energetic flow, being together, grooving, it's an amazing healing power.
And
Agreed.
it's something we've done for thousands and thousands of years. So it's like, why did we get away from it? It's
Mhm.
clearly that it's something that's essential for our healthy survival in our communal tribal nature.
Yeah, it's making a resurgence, I believe,
Definitely.
with all the ceremony stuff that's coming back.
Yeah, I'd like to ask, what does ritual mean to you, and do you have any daily rituals you'd like to share?
I have lots of daily rituals, yeah. My my daily ritual that I like the most is first thing in the morning. I wake up and have that time to myself. I really need that quiet time to sit with myself, and I do some meditation. I usually journal, and if I'm reading something, I like to read a piece of information that's going to simmer with me for the day. So something that I can really set an intention with. And I really love oracle cards too. I draw oracle cards almost every day too. And I'll go into it with a question such as, what can I embody today for my highest joy? Or how can I be of the greatest service today? And my answers are always given. So that kind of though that ritual I love. I could easily take 3 hours in the morning and do that, but I have to usually knock it down to about an hour and a half. Uh, and I do get sad when I don't get to do it because there are certain days when duty calls and it
Yep.
can't happen. But my partner and I, we have a cacao ritual almost every afternoon. We sit and do cacao together, and we have our deep and meaningful conversations. We check in with each other, and we're really practicing sacred partnership where we are completely honest with everything. So we sit with our cacao, we whisper blessings to each other in our cacao cups, and we talk about any sort of insights that we had that day, any insecurities about the other person that came up or have been in the past that have come up. So we're laying it all out on the table. It's fabulous. I have never experienced anything like what we're doing together right now. So That's a really powerful ritual for us. So we do that almost every day. We try to every day as long as we're both home. Um, and yeah, bedtime rituals are great. Bedtime rituals. I love the bedtime ritual. Hot tub, clean my body,
Yeah.
stretch, all of those things. Yeah. But I feel like all the rituals, taking care of myself, I feel like is the most fun ritual, whether it's with my exercise or p- physical pampering or stretching or meditating, any of those things. Cultivating the body and the mind. Those are the rituals I love. The rituals of eating are great too.
Yeah, just loving every ritual. And I so in a nutshell, like, I feel like ritual is really just like creating that time and that space for yourself or for you and another individual to kind of quiet the external noise and tune into yourself, tune into each other, and really just sit and be with that. And I think it's so powerful in the modern age, just with how much noise is out there, to have these rituals in our lives, to make these marks in time.
Yeah, one of my mentors in ayahuasca, she says, "Your whole life is a ceremony," and I love that because yes, this is a ceremony of celebrating being alive. We forget that, I think.
Yeah, I love that, and I think that will kind of lead us in our next question here in a second, because I think that from my perspective, and I haven't been in the ceremonial community that long and just the spiritual path that long, but from what I've seen, it seems like at times there is almost an escapism towards this enlightenment point, or towards these medicines or these things, but ultimately it comes back around to realizing that, like, the human experience itself is the psychedelic experience, and is what you do these things for, to embody and to reach a point in your life that you're really happy with.
Yeah. Well, we are all headed on a one-way street to death, right? Everyone's going. You can't get out of it. So life is a scarce, precious treasure. And while we're here, I feel it needs to be celebrated. We're always thinking, I'll be happy when, I'll be fulfilled when, but we forget to dive into the experience of each moment and know that every challenge is actually an opportunity for growth, and how fun and exciting. It's like learning to climb a rope. How exciting. Yeah, it's going to be hard. But if it was easy, how boring is that? And things that are easy don't help us to grow. So, enjoying the journey of your life, that's the key to a happy life in my opinion, because you're never going to reach enlightenment and just stay there during this lifetime unless you want to go and live and meditate in a cave for eternity, but that's not what people are doing. So we still have to deal with all of the injustices and all of the things of life, but this is a journey. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. Enjoy it while we're here. Enjoy the challenges, enjoy the feelings. We run from pain, but pain is an incredible teacher, an incredible motivator. So I have I've always had this belief that childbirth is this initiation process. And I get sad to hear so many women who are looking towards childbirth as this horrific thing that needs to be medicated without even giving it a shot at doing it naturally and experiencing life coming through you and really feeling it. Because, yeah, it's the most painful thing you're going to do. But motherhood is pretty hard. And this is a great initiation to go through. And people and women have been doing it since the beginning of time. So we run from pain thinking we need to get rid of it. But I like to think that it's something actually to dive into. And when I'm coaching people in CrossFit, I always tell them get really comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's the key to progressing.
Amazing. Words of wisdom. So, what is your perspective on the current state of like the health and wellness and spiritual community, and where has it been and where might it be going?
Well, I think it has been in the hands of Western medicine for much too long, really dominated. I mean, if you look at back at our grandparents' time, they just trusted whatever their doctor said, no questions asked. Um, and really, the movement of the '60s and nutrition and yoga and Chinese medicine and all those things coming into mainstream society. Now, insurance companies are covering Chinese medicine, covering chiropractic. So it's not completely a big pharma agenda all the time. Still mostly is, but we're working in the right direction, I believe. And also with the invention of MAPS, the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, and really Rick Doblin, who's the head of that and began that, our mental health is moving in the right direction and people are awakening. I see everywhere people awakening. They're not as asleep as they once were. I think too, over quarantine and COVID, there has been a giant awakening within people. There's kind of a great divide too. I think there's a lot of people who are really simmering in fear, and then there are those who are stretching out into a higher level of awakening and realizing that they need to be their own health advocate and find their own path and not just listen to what the American Medical Association tells them that they're supposed to do. So
Yeah,
I have great hope for it.
yeah, I agree. I think I've seen in such a big way so many more people, even in just the most subtle ways, just kind of shifting towards conversations that I feel like were once more taboo or labeled as woo-woo and now can be spoken about, at a dinner table, and it's not crazy anymore. And I think, we can definitely accredit modern neuroscience and a lot of the breakthroughs we're having there and just the advancements of the technologies that are putting, I think, a lot of tangible data with what people have known ancestrally for so long. And so it's like this beautiful union between modern and ancestral that is coming through that I think is really going to help us shift collectively as we move forward to this new earth.
Yeah, I agree with you. Um, Being able to talk openly about psychedelic medicine and not have people think, oh, that's drug talk
Hmm.
or they're just druggies.
Yeah, because I hear so many people all the time like calling them drugs or saying, you know, just tripping or getting high, but there's a difference between tripping and getting high and doing it really recreationally versus doing it with intention and really seeking to use the medicines as, healers and revealers within, any words to speak on that.
Yeah, using it as medicine versus something to be abused. Those we Humans are going to abuse everything. That's just the nature of humanity. We take things as far as we can. People like to do that with any kind of medicine, be it pharmaceutical or plant medicine or anything, right? So you're going to have those people who are going to do that. But using it in the right context, setting, right? Right intention. What is your intention in using it? If it's for self-healing, you're using it as medicine. So and plant medicines have been used for centuries, um, for healing and community connection and self transformation.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add about, like bad trips, etc.? I think there's a lot of people that maybe have done psychedelics that weren't particularly really educated, myself included, in my first experiences of just not knowing what the profundity of what might happen on this experience. And not that it was necessarily bad my first time, but sometimes the experience is so big and it's hard to integrate, or you do have a bad trip, but maybe it's not necessarily bad. Maybe it's really showing you something that you need to work with and to overcome to really heal within.
So when people say they have a bad trip, my first thought always is, oh, they got to dive into their shadow. They got to see some of the stuff that is hiding in the depths and needs to come out and get uncovered. Having said that, though, it's common for people to have a bad trip if they don't feel safe. So if people are doing it in a recreational setting and they go into this deeply vulnerable space, but they're not in a safe environment around people who are supporting them or even allowed to really process, like if they're at a party or a concert, that seems like the most horrible place to do stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's so much processing that goes on. I would not want to be thinking about the depths of my
Yeah.
ego. Um,
In a crowd of 1,000
childhood,
people.
yeah, as well as around 100 other people. So being in the right environment with the right practitioners who keep you safe. Being a guide, the most important thing is making people feel safe and knowing that they can surrender to the experience. A lot of people, their issues are around not feeling safe as children. They're huge ones. So being in an environment where they're not being cared for and protected can just exacerbate all of that. So being responsible with it, I think that doing it with a guide is the very best way. Lots of people just go and take stuff on their own. I don't think that that is going to give you the best results. People can have profound experiences doing that, and they have many times, but being in an environment where you can completely surrender to the experience and not be slightly nervous that something's going to come up that you're going to need to handle, like transporting yourself somewhere, or what if it gets dark and I'm cold, and all those things. You should be in a comfortable, safe, clean, cared for environment where you are not going to do anything like try to drive a car or try to call people while you're journeying or any of those things. So
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that from your perspective. And uh, it can really completely change the way someone's experience goes. And even if they do dive into the shadow, when they're safe to dive into the shadow, it's very profound, and they can do a lot more work, and they can come out of it a lot more integrated. And maybe it doesn't take as long for them to really work through the challenges of what may have come up on that dark side. Because if I think about some of my experiences or people that I know and I've heard about, it's even after a really hard trip where you might dive deep into the shadow, it can take some time to even feel safe and find regulation in your nervous system. And that has been huge for me to find regulation, because then I'm I'm not having the anxious thoughts that go back to the trip, and it's like, oh, did I mess myself up psychologically? Did I damage my brain? Am I going to be that crazy guy the rest of my life? Instead, realizing that I can come back into regulation, and that maybe what's happening is a process that's meant to be happening psychologically as I move towards a place of greater self knowing and more integration with my shadow aspect.
diving into those deep, dark shadows that are within us, that's the key to freedom. If we avoid those are going to sit there deep in our bodies until we deal with it. The skeletons in our closet don't disappear without opening the closet. So
And it was once a very scary part of myself to encounter, but now I've really opened my arms to embrace it so much more, and to love it, and to sit with it, and to no longer try to run the opposite direction, which I did. I learned about, and I think a lot of us do this. It's just the repression of that in our childhoods and just throughout our life, not not having space to properly talk about our mental health or our emotions we're feeling, and just shoving it away in a shoebox, and then all of a sudden for it to come open and to be worked on can be a little bit overwhelming at times, but is where the work is.
Yeah, the integration is where the magic really happens. How do you go back into your normal life, or into the situation, I like to call it, back out into society, and take what you've learned and apply it to your life, and
Yeah.
not fall back into all of your old patterns. We have that default mode network in our brain that just wants to continue operating as it always has. And that's one of the things that psychedelics really do, is shake up that default mode network, make those neurons flexible again, and allow us to make new decisions and be creative,
Yes.
not see things through the lens that we always look through.
Bring those perspe new shifts in perception, and then the ability to actually ingrain those patterns. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
from working with various plant medicines like cacao, Mother Aya, psilocybin, wachuma, like what are some common themes you've found, maybe about all of them or a specific one you would like to talk about that have, come through for you?
There are a lot of revelations that I hear from people over and over after journeys. One is, it's so simple. I hear that over and over again. It's just so simple. We overcomplicate everything about our lives. All that matters is that we love people and that we love ourselves, and that we love the earth. That's all that matters. Um, with money, we're programmed to think we want more than we need. More of stuff is not better. We only should take what we need. Excess is such a disease. The importance of Mother Earth, that one comes up a lot, especially with the plant medicines, psilocybin and ayahuasca. Mother Earth, images and feelings and communication with Mother Earth is so strong under those medicines, usually for people. I remember one man during a journey, he said suddenly, I need to feel dirt. I need dirt in my hands right now. I need some dirt right now. Take me to her.
That's great.
uh, so really, the idea that we overcomplicate our lives with the stories we tell ourselves, with the programs that we adhere to, that we're perfect just as we are. We don't need to try to be somebody else. We just need to love each other and forgive each other. There's a lot of resentments that people hold on to, and they realize that's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. You hold on to resentment, and that is poison in your body. And sometimes we think other people, they don't deserve to be forgiven, but it's not about them. We need to forgive people to heal ourselves. If you can forgive, you win. You get to win because you release that out of your body. There's a great quote I like to say. It's forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. And
Wow.
it sets you free. It sets you free. So, yeah, we've all had people wrong us, but holding on to any of that is a prison for us. So, letting go of stuff, that's a big one. Non-judgment, self-judgment. Oh, people have so much self-judgment. It's tragic. But that's a big one, especially when people do MDMA. they really realize how much self-judgment they have. That medicine seems to make it incredibly clear. So that's a big one that stops us from doing things that we want to do and really living our life how we want to live.
Hmm. And how that's oftentimes projected outside like our own inability to like really fully accept ourselves, and we continue to be our own worst enemy, and judging ourselves is oftentimes we may be externally critical and judging of others because of our own.
Yeah. We think we're supposed to look a certain way, act a certain way. This is what success looks like. This is what a perfect family looks like. This is what a perfect relationship looks like. And I'm not fitting that mold. There must be something wrong with me. And people people fall into deep states of depression because they're not what they're supposed to be.
Yeah,
The medicines can really free you from those ideas.
because
Very
what are
powerful.
we, yeah, what
Yeah.
what are we supposed to be? And that question could be very existential at times, but it brings forth curiosity for the seeker of, what who am I beyond the expectations, opinions, and obligations of my family, my friends, and society that, have placed me on a predetermined narrative that maybe I don't exactly, this isn't the true me. And learning how to chase, that inner light that is guiding you to something that is more individually you and original and unique than anything else.
Yeah, follow that inner passion. That's the main thing. What excites you? Do that. If you're not happy in your life, change it. Go do something that makes you excited and gets you fired up and makes you want to spread the joy around everyone around you.
Mm-hmm.
Because that raise it, we all have the responsibility to raise the collective consciousness, I think, by being our free, true selves.
Yeah, I
So
love that. And you know, for those people that may not be able to find their way out of what they're in, and maybe they love what they're in, maybe they work in a corporate job and they really truly love it, but finding a finding time and space beyond that to follow their passion as well, I think is really powerful to do. In our culture in the West, it seems like don't embody that as much as other cultures throughout the world of honoring our career and potentially a passion on the side that can really, you know, breathe life into the spiritual side of us, and keep that alive so we don't, completely become just this walking autopilot in our corporate lives or something.
yeah, we don't need any more consumers. We don't need what we need is inspirers, storytellers, teachers, healers, wisdom keepers. The Rainbow Warrior tribe, right?
Yeah, yeah, I had that here as a topic because I know you really love talking about the Warriors of the Rainbow. Could you illuminate us upon your perspective of the Warriors of the Rainbow?
Well, it's that I think it's Hopi Indian, the prophecy that when the earth, I actually have it written down, when the earth is ravaged and the animals are dying, a new tribe of people shall come into the earth from many colors, classes, creeds, and who by their actions and deeds shall make the earth green again. They will be known as the warriors of the rainbow. And I feel like I already see it happening. People coming together, things are changing, people are awakening. It's afoot. And values are changing. People are seeing that we don't need to live in this old paradigm.
Yeah, it's like what Terrence McKenna talks about, and I really resonate with it. It's like the it seems like, we're still playing out some narratives of like the bones of a dying world as we kind of are reborn. I almost see an image of like flowers sprouting up and mushrooms from like this dead carcass, this skeleton, as we, grow forth from the death of, the things that no longer serve us collectively, that can bring great healing to our planet, the collective, and our hearts and souls within.
Yeah. I think the company Cacao Source was so inspirational in that sense too, because you get to read on a label, for example, oh, this is a sustainable company who is contributing to the indigenous peoples where their product comes from. And but you don't really know what is actually being done over there. Is this smoke and mirrors? Are they really doing what they say they're doing? And then we went to Guatemala and got to meet with the Cacao Source team, and they are the most integral humans. I was so thoroughly impressed about everything that they're doing and the way that they have helped the local Mayans, the indigenous people there, to build their own businesses. And they had formed all these women's collectives for widows and single mothers to harvest cacao with their children and make the I was so inspired, and they pay them fair share too. They said, "Oh, the women here are working more hours than us and we're paying them more than we pay ourselves." And they're the business owners. So, yeah, Dorothy, Jojo, and Laurence, warriors of the rainbow. Get
Yeah,
it? Yeah, yeah. So
I,
great.
I agree. They were so inspiring, and I was so honored to be in their presence and just learn from them and all they know. And they have such a heart for service, and it's such a mission that's beyond them and beyond profits and everything, which I think we really need to move more toward, especially in this just overly capitalistic mindset all the time. Because I think too, the more that we do give back and we help, you know, preserve these indigenous ways and these natural medicines of the earth, and anything we're doing in a more socially sustainable model is going to reciprocate value to the owner of the business or the founder, but it might not be seen immediately. It's going to be more long term. It's the whole idea of, planting a tree whose shade you may never sit. It's understanding the impact of that and how much farther that'll reach than just, making, more profit, more profit, more profit.
Yeah, and that ripple effect, the more consciousness that you use in your daily practices, in your business, and what you're doing, you're going to spread that and help the people around you to rise up and evolve as well. And so even if you're not out there on a soapbox preaching it, you're doing it, you're spreading that energy. It's rippling out into the world. So like the butterfly effect.
Yeah, and I think so often we see people on soapboxes, or perhaps we want to stand up on one ourselves sometimes when we're really, angry or frustrated with the state of the world. But yeah, it's like I heard something, I think it was from Gandhi. He told a guy on a train one time when he was asked, "Hey, Gandhi, what can I give me a message I can take back to my people?" And he was like, "Let your life be your message." You
Yes,
know,
absolutely. That's the best. And that should be. Live your
yeah.
life that way.
And from that, it automatically ripples, and the butterfly effect takes place, and it really does when you truly come to that place of embodiment, and focused on, hey, I see a future world that we can co-create, and I've seen the changes within myself on my transformative self-healing journey, but I'm not here to go to every person and say, you need to convert to this way of thinking or this way of thinking, or do this, do this. Instead, leaving space for the individual to come to it on their time and on their own unique path and their perspectives, adding their spin on things, and just walking and letting your life be your message so that other people can be inspired by that to maybe follow their own.
Yeah, we think that we can't, we're too small to have an impact. And we think, oh, if we just do this, then everyone else is doing something else, I'm not going to be able to change anything. But we are way more powerful than we believe. And you affecting one person in your life will affect many more.
And wasn't there something that was it a Harvard research study that said out of all these people they studied for a lifetime, what led to the most happiness was like the depth of human connection, like in relationships they had with other people, and it wasn't the money and the fame and all those things. It was living a
So
life that
there's a term for it. EI, emotional intelligence, is the biggest indicator of success across all boards. So, yeah, we talked about that a lot when I was in nursing school because that was nursing school was like, but that was a good thing that came. A good lesson that I got was your ability to connect with other humans is the biggest indicator of success in life. Success is a very relative term, though. What does
Mhm.
success mean to you? But I think success, as far as a happiness level, your ability, even if you're looking for the ability to gain employment, emotional intelligence, connecting with people, that's going to be it. That's going to be your best weapon. Um, your ability to connect with patients, get them to trust you. If the patient doesn't trust their caretaker, healing is much more difficult and less likely to take place. The power of the mind. So, yeah, emotional intelligence, you can't teach it.
Yeah, you just really have to learn it and to have a become really fall in love with the process of birthing forth more emotional intelligence. And it's very helpful to definitely be around people who have embodied a high level of emotional intelligence, and they can be great teachers and mentors for us on our own path.
Yeah. Sitting back and just looking at other humans, watching people, reading people's body language, noticing people, I feel that there's a lot to be learned there.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of our introverts come in and really are like, they've been observing for so long. And I think it's really cool to meet like ambiverts and those that have, spent time in the introverted side of themselves and the extroverted side, because there's so much to be learned from both sides. And I think sometimes the overly extroverted side of ourself is not as aware and is not paying attention to those subtleties. But when we can take a step back and be more introspective within ourselves and also just of the world around us in that place of observance, we can pick up on so much, and there's so much wisdom to be heeded from all the people around us in our lives.
Yeah, we each other are our greatest teachers. Yeah.
Yeah, even those that piss us off and make us angry, and
Oh,
those
those
that
are our
love
best
us, and yeah,
teachers,
those are the best teachers.
actually. Yeah. I always say my my children have been my Zen master teachers. You know how when you're in the thickness of motherhood and overwhelmed and babies are crying and they're dirty diapers and all this different stuff, how can you maintain your inner peace amongst the chaos? So or when you even just being out in the world, when you encounter something that really pisses you off, that's a great time to dive in deep to your own self. Okay, why am I so attached to things being different than they are? Yeah. And no one can embarrass you or humiliate you or hurt your feelings without your permission. Because if someone if someone yells, "Hey, stupid," and you turn around, you're proving them right. That's a Wayne
Yeah.
Dyer quote, actually.
That's funny. I've
It's
never
so
heard
funny.
that.
But it's the truth because we're telling them your your idea of who I am is more important than my idea of who I am. And we give that power away to people way too often.
That we do.
Mhm.
Yeah, so To cap off the show, I like to ask, when you hear the words live thrivingly, what comes to your mind?
Oh, passion for life, for sure. Um, Being excited, being full of energy, being inspired. Of course, all the other things, thrivingly through health, that too. Being healthy in body and mind. I
I
think,
love that.
yeah, I think one thing that people who are on spiritual paths bypass a lot is their body. And I am a huge crusader for body awareness and fitness. So I think that we push our minds and we train ourselves in so many different mental capacities, but we fail to do so in physical capacity a lot of time. But then you get the other side too, those who are purely training their physical, but they're not training their mental. So
Yeah. So to
I think both. Yeah.
embrace the whole of the holistic um combination of mind, body, and spirit, and not just saying that, but really embodying what it means to live holistically, mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah. Yeah. So don't buy, make sure you clean out all the corners.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on here today, Lily. I had such an enjoyable time with you. Uh, is there a place where people can get in contact with you if they would like to work with you or come to your gym, etc.?
Probably the best place is to go to the gym's website, and my contact information is there. It's seabreakcrossfit.com.
Awesome. And I'll
Yeah.
put that in the link in the description below. Thank you so much. Any last words?
Um, Change your thoughts, change your life. Be careful what you think. Yeah, it'll come into fruition.
Aho.
Oh, thank you, Jackson.